Hello everybody, and thank you for joining the show. Today I'm at lovely Wicca Moon, the shop in Eltham, and I'm with its owner, Shirlee Moon, who welcome and come and thank you for talking to us today. And Shirlee, I wondered if we could start with saying, what tradition do you come from?
Oh, okay. What, right from the beginning?
It's up to you. What
I've been here 15 years, and I think it was about 20 plus years ago, through a friend of mine. She actually gave me a book on Wicca. And I said, what did you give me this for? And she went, well, that's what you are. I went, what? Wiccan? Witch? I went, well, I said, I'm not a witch. Yes, you are. Read the book and you'll find out. Of course, I read it. It was by Shirlee Moon. It was all about the festivals and scrying and tarot reading. I thought, well, this is me. This is what I do. So I actually had to admit myself that I was a witch.
And was that difficult for you then? Was it because you had bad connotations perhaps for the word before?
I didn't really know too much about it, to be honest with you. I didn't really know any witches because back in those days it was still quite hidden. You didn't get so many people out of the broom closet, so to speak. So I didn't really meet anyone. It's only when I sort of started to wear a little pentacle that people go, are you one of those, with a little wink? One of what? It's my pentacle, it's my protection. I'd go around proudly with it. And you're one of those witches. I went, okay. And that's when I sort of started to look and meet like-minded people. And this is when I lived in Camden, so it was, Camden was a bit of a risque place anyway, but most of the pagans would meet on the Sunday afternoon, funny enough, in the market, back in the day, when you could sit and have a cup of tea or coffee and smoke spliffs and eat bacon sandwiches after the night before. So it was that sort of feeling in those days, but to join a coven or to join a group, you had to be sort of asked, or you'd meet the right person who would say, who you would get introduced to. And I went and met some lovely people, because you know the place, at Red Lion Square at Conway Hall. And I went and did some meditation with the tarot, with a lovely lady who used to do tarot in Camden Market. This was 25, nearly 30 years ago, so it was a long time. And she said, well, you need to learn a bit more about the occult. What's the occult? Said naive me. So I was really naive, And since then I've discovered that I'm half Romany. And my mum's mum, she was a very famous medium at the time. And it was a time when it wasn't allowed to do anything because the Witchcraft Act was still in place back in those days. And we've got the Fraudulent Mediumship Act now, but then the Witchcraft Act was still in place. So if you went and saw somebody like my granny, the curtains would be drawn, and the little light would be lit, and your tea leaves would be red or your palms red, but it was very hush hush. And I know my mum used to read tea leaves and that as well, so it's very much my psychic self, which is very strong, is from that side of the family.
It normally comes through the family as well, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, my brother is quite intuitive, and my daughter is as well, but they understand that we're all very sort of highly attuned family, but as I said, it was very much frowned upon. You couldn't, like it is now, if you saw a spooky in the house, you get taken to church or something like that and have prayers said over you. But because just wasn't allowed, it was frowned upon, and to have a strange child was just a bit too much for my mum at the time. So we used to get sent to church a lot, so we would come off the path you shouldn't be walking on. And that sort of came late to me. I think I was about 38, 39 when I sort of first started taking a big interest, is when the book and everything was given to me. So it opened up a whole new doorway. And because I met this lovely lady down in Broadstairs, whose name is Chris, she's no longer with us. She actually ran the coven down there, so I thought, oh, coven, how exciting. So I got into, met some beautiful people through that. And that she did my hand fasting with Rex all those years ago. So it very much opened a whole new world for me, Wicca itself, knowing that I could do things, and the things I did that was strange was actually called witchcraft. You know, spell casting, getting rid of boils and things like that, making a little concoction for somebody.
What they would call a cunning folk
Yeah,
type
very
of person.
much, because that's how I was brought up, you know, and it was all doing that to start off with. And I used to do spells for people when I worked, funny enough, and people get frightened of me if they work too well. That was the strangest thing. So they would ask you to do something, a spell, and back in those days I was very, very a little bit anal, I suppose. So if somebody wanted a love spell, I'd have to wait till the moon was full on a Friday, and in Venus transitions and all that business. And that's how I would work the spells.
But surely that's doing it properly.
That was doing it properly. I've discovered since then I didn't need to do all that to make it work.
Oh.
So yeah, that was interesting. But yes, everything had. I was very OCD on it all back in the day, and yeah. So that was a long time before I had the shop. Having a shop of any description has always been a dream of mine ever since I was small. Now I know a lot of the girls who come in here to talk about going into the post office and seeing them with the old stamp. That was me. That's what I wanted, to have a shop. You know, but then the dream of having a witchcraft shop has to be about 20 years ago, maybe. But these sort of shops didn't really exist, and I think my introduction to shops as such was Mysteries in London, and that's where I got my very first set of tarot. So I used to read playing cards before then. And I thought, oh yes, this is what I want to do. And I had to wait for a few years, and here we are, 15 years later, here at Wicca Moon. I mean, the nicest thing about Wicca Moon is at the beginning it was geared to be very Wiccan in the Gerald Gardner tradition, as an initiate and high priestess within that tradition. And it is after the years that you realise that Wicca itself has moved on a lot, and the traditionalists will probably say I'm wrong, but there's a lot of solo people out there who call themselves Wiccan.
Well, I think you wouldn't be wrong, because I myself think magic changes all the time. It's
Yes.
a progressive, evolutionary path.
Yeah, I agree, and it's that, or you're a white witch or a black witch. I am neither, actually, because magic has no colour. And I think it's like anything else, it's moved on from Gerald Gardner's 1950s. We've come a long way now where we can openly wear our pentacle, openly come out the broom closet, and not have that stigma that's attached to it now. And a lot of young people are coming into it, but not quite sure if it's witch or goddess or Wicca. And I always say try everything, taste everything, experiment on everything, but just be mindful of what you do. And I think this is the best way forward, I feel.
Well, that's something I wanted to bring up, actually. Sorry to interrupt you there,
That's
because
all right.
especially with this, what's going on at the moment, we're in July 2020, the rather interesting year we live in, and I think a lot of people are finding during this lockdown, are looking for a spiritual path, and probably are getting confused as to what is the goddess, or where can they find a path to a god of some kind. So if they should listen to this and want to come to you, you can discuss this with them, maybe.
Of course, I've got, I always felt, and this is just my feeling, that my calling, if you could call it that, is to introduce women, especially to the goddess. I always get emotional, so bear with me. And for my feeling, if I can introduce one people to the mother's energy before I pass on to my last rite of passage, I'll be happy, because she is slowly awakening in people. So you've got a lot of women and men who are interested in working in with mother's energy, because that's what's been missing. You know, and people usually find that the fear that they have, you know, in that Tharn look, frightened of crossing the road, frightened of walking out in the street without a mask on or whatever, that they think there's nothing else, and they become stuck within their head and not within their heart. And it's, I suppose in a way, it's us reintroducing that actually they have a heart, and that's where the goddess is. So you don't have to go around looking under stones and everywhere, because she's everywhere. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm here.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's made me a bit emotional as well, actually. It does, doesn't it?
It's been quite an emotional journey. I mean, at the moment I'm doing a course on studying the goddess. It's a 9-month course, so it's supposed to be 9 months, but I know it's going to take longer than that. And there's 9 goddesses that we work with. Then whoever's doing the course can do another year and work with the dark mothers, because there's so many different goddesses. Or you can just choose one and just work with that one. It doesn't matter. It's all that coming together as a collective energy that can send out a collective healing as well to people who need it. And I think that's equally as important as well. And that's what's missing.
Yes, it is.
In a lot of traditions. I mean, you've got a lot of the formalised. I don't want to talk about formalised religion because there's too much arguing going on in amongst it. So I don't. We honour it because here, I suppose, in the shop we have to. So we have the people who are Christian but are witches. We get Christians who come in who want help from the witches. Will come in. So we will use Bible in the form of conjure. We do the African beers and traditions in here because I think you have to know it.
Yes, I'm from there. I try to learn from everything.
Yeah,
yes.
And I think when you come in here you get a bit of everything. I mean, I'm Hindu in my philosophy, so you'll come in and you'll meet the Hindu gods in here, and I teach people mantra because that's the way of having peace of mind. And the spells and the crystals and everything are just all part and parcel of that energy that we can all tap into, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because in your shop we do tarot readings and things like that. And you designed your own tarot set in the last few years. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit. What you do in that?
Well, it was actually an author we know very well called Jack Gale, and he introduced me to Frau Holder, and she made a very big appearance in this shop.
And she's one of the goddesses. I'll just quickly add, Holder is a goddess, very linked to Greenwich Park, which is just down the road.
Yeah, she's a Norse goddess in tradition. If you can get Jack's book on Holder, Holda, I think her name is spelled, then you'll be lucky. But she is very much the goddess of the ice and snow. She very much links into rune lore as well. And she's also cross-referencing with Mother Goose, and there's many stories, but she came in here very large as life. And I've always wanted to design a set of tarot, and at that particular time in the shop, I think it was nearly 6 years ago.
Oh wow, was it?
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's just gone so quick.
It has gone by.
And we had some real good, strange characters at that time in the shop, and the cards were very much based with them in mind. So the characters in the cards are all based around Frau Hol's energy. So I didn't pick a person and just said, oh, you're going to be that. She was saying, Jack's going to be the fool, and he's going to look like this. I know people probably won't believe me, but this is how it was. And so all the paintings that were done were all designed by me. We had photographs taken of ourselves in pose.
In your characters?
In our characters, but actually the characters actually took over the people. It was very strange. My son suddenly became the magician. My daughter suddenly became the star card. It was just how it was and how it worked out, and it was cold. The whole time we were doing that, it was freezing in here.
So Holder was around.
She was around. And each time Jack walked in, he'd bring in the hail and the snow with him when we were doing it. So it was quite funny. I knew we were doing the right thing. And now the cards are on their 4th run. So I've just had another lot printed.
No, it's fantastic to hear, that they're being used.
Yeah, I'm using well. But I teach with them as well, which helps. But I am working on a new set.
Can you tell us about them?
I can tell you a little bit. I don't want to give the game away too
Okay.
much, but they are going to be goddess based. But because there's so many goddess cards, tarot cards, there's over 100,000 sets of cards out there, more. So it has to be where there's a little gap in the market, and they have to be unusual, and they're going to be that all right.
Excellent.
Slightly on the darker side of things, whereas the Wicca Moon are quite bright, but I think they're going to have a slight dark mother edge, scary mother.
Well, also, I think a lot of people want to avoid the dark, and instead we should, I'm not saying embrace it, but we need to be aware of the dark, don't we?
See, what you think of dark and what I think of dark is probably two different things. Mm-hmm. Most people, when you talk about the dark or the dark energies, people think it's the nasty side of yourself, or the self that you don't like. For me, it is not that at all. The darker side is your occult side.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
The hidden side, the part of yourself that you think doesn't exist.
So that dark side is trying to come through.
It's come through on me because I'm a witch. That's how I work, and and probably you as well. When you're sitting in your circles, you don't think that's you sitting in there, do you? No, that's your darker side absorbing the energies of wherever you are. And most people who work with the dark energies can scry, can talk to the dead. Come on, let's face it. You can't be all fluffy bunny going over into the cemetery. If you want to conjure up a spirit or two, you've got to put on your shadow self, your occult side, your hidden self to go and do this sort of work.
That's fantastic. I really like that, because that does make sense to me as you're saying it. I'm kind of like, because I do sometimes feel it's not me, but it is me.
Too many people, especially Americans, I'm sorry if there's any Americans out there listening to this, but as a norm, the Americans tend to think that, and English people, not just Americans, the darker side is the bit about yourself that you don't like. I get angry, I get this, I get that, I want to shout at everyone, that must be my dark side. It's not at all. It's your ego. And it's all about balancing that ego so you don't get stressed out and you can go, okay, I can deal with this. Because stress is because you're normally angry with yourself. But when you work on the darker side, the stuff that people don't see, come on now, it's like when you're doing something, especially women, we're very good at being secretive. As I said to you earlier, secret squirrel. Mm-hmm. Squirrels hide their nuts, they don't want anyone else to see them. We're just the same. You want to hide our gifts. If I say, I'm going to go and do some scrying, I'll pick up my crystal ball and I won't have it on here on display for everyone to see. It'll be a little secret one that no one's ever seen, and that's how I would work. I don't want people looking at my stuff and fiddling with it and that. No, it's secret. Women are secretive. Our energy is in our secret self.
And it's also when you've got it hidden away, because otherwise when it's on display, it's kind of again another ego thing, isn't it? Oh, look at me, I'm a wonderful witch with my crystal ball.
Ooh, like that. No, I mean, my crystal ball is here. Look how small that is.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you can't see because it's all wrapped up. But there's a story behind that, me getting this as well. That was another story, lots of stories. I should write a book maybe.
Yes, maybe you should write a book on your magical stories. Can you tell us the story behind the crystal ball?
I can. This was given to me about 10 years ago, this ball. And a young lady bought this in. You should please take this, Shirley, have it, it's a gift. Okay, thank you very much. So I said, why? And she said it belonged to my father, who was a witch, like you. And he used to use it as a spyglass. So he would use his crystal ball to spy on everyone. Not that I haven't done it, of course. And he, after he passed, she inherited that. And one day, I don't know what she was doing, she was in the bedroom doing something, and she looked at it and there was a big eye in there. And it frightened the hell out of her. And she knew for sure that he was spying on her from the other side. Okay, so I said, oh, that's fine. So I said, right. I said, you're now belonging to me. I said to the ball, okay. So I took it down to the sea and I did a special ritual over it. Those who've got crystal balls will know. And then I bought it and put it in my garden for a full lunar cycle. But just as I was about to do it, this big eye appeared in the ball again. I went, tough luck. I said, you can't do this anymore. Like that. And with that, it had gone. And it became mine as a perfect tool that I need to use when I need to do hidden work or stuff I don't want people to see. Maybe spying on somebody or not, I don't know. You know, it would just depend. But I've actually got been lucky over the years, because I had another young girl who came in and gave me this glass. Actually, it was in a shoebox. She brought it all in, and her mother lived in Brazil. She was English, but she was a conjure witch. And she wasn't that way inclined at all. She was a Christian girl, and I inherited all her mother's things. But all the hoodoo, voodoo stuff, I inherited all of it.
But these kind of things need to go on to people that would use them.
And we do. I've either passed them on or given them to the people here, and we've gone on and used them ourselves. Some of them you can't hand on, like some of the beads and that, because they've been initiated and hadn't had blessings done on them, and you can't really pass them on. You can't sort of wipe them clean and use them. So we just keep them as an honouring of her.
Yeah, because I'd like to think the man that gave in the ball is pleased that you've got it, because you'll be someone that would use it.
Yeah, I think that's probably why he disappeared very quickly. I didn't sort of banish him away. Get off, you looking at me, cheek. But it's a very useful little tool, and I love it.
Well, talking of tools, you also have some lovely ladies. We have Sue here, who does people do readings in your shop.
Yes.
And Sue, you're one of the readers, is that right?
My gift is soul vision.
Oh, right.
Because I'm a painter and I look at colours, shapes, symbols, and I think we agree that it's on a very, very high source. Apparently I was told you go right up to the highest level possible, take the files out of that person, and then you are prompted to, it's automatic painting. Instead of writing, it's automatic painting. And from that I've learned to decipher what's happening in somebody's pathway. Most of us have about 3 pathways. A lot of us go backwards as well. So this helps that person to lead a better life and see what they've gone, how wrong they've gone, etc. I didn't know I had this gift till I went to do clear vision. Clear vision is clearing your mind. And from there I discovered in about 7 years that that's what I've been meant to do. And Shirlee kindly asked me to join her. And we did a combination oracle card as well, with the Kuan Yin as the blessing. They're all paintings of mine. Yes, they're all flower paintings which are very spiritual, and we can read from it.
So do you go into like a trance, or is it
Not
just
at
natural
all,
for
not
you?
at all. It comes automatically, and recently I'm able to help couples to sort out what their differences are, because from the picture I can see where they're going, and then I point them in the right direction, which is very helpful. And that's something which has been very new coming to me. So as I go along, you discover more and more. And recently I've also started using the iPad instead of just watercolor, which is a bit more appropriate for a place like this.
Okay, so you can do your art on the, an arts program.
It's mainly symbols.
Right.
You see, when I do watercolor of the vision, it's the water, the color, because I listen out for the colors, and then it happens. Sometimes you have images appearing, sometimes faces, and they come on their own, which is really marvelous.
Do you have to do it quickly, or does it?
Yes, no, instantaneously. I am just the instrument. I get all the spiritual colors. There's 7 spiritual colors, and the water, and then the brush, and then I do a little bit of incense burning just to clear the air, and I just turn on some music like Om Mani Padme Hum, things like that, and it just comes through. it's got to be early in the morning. I find is the best, because I was told about 4:30 the souls depart, and I find I always get woken up by that time.
Well, 4:30 in the morning?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, we meant 4:30 in the afternoon. They just hang around till tea time.
But it's marvellous because everything is crystal clear. I mean, I can do it during the day, but if I really have a very important vision to do, about that time is the best. And no, I mean, it is very promising, and I'm very thankful to Wicca Moon for being able to practice it.
It's a funny thing because we normally find that both things work together. So Sue Chin will do a path working for someone, and I'll pull some tarots, and it always
Coincide. We
coincides.
bounce off each other.
Yeah.
Because I think we both work on a very high level, and I think that helps a lot. Because we're not mediums as such. I mean, we do a bit, but
We
we're
can
more.
call spirit through if we need
Yeah.
to, but because I've seen too many people, not in here, but when you go to other places, they don't really talk to the ancestors in the way that we would as witches, which is honouring them with incense and candles and giving them food and that, make them a cup of tea. You know, can't call someone's dad through and not give them a cup of tea or a tot of whiskey. Come on now, you know. It's all blimey, oh, that's nice, welcome. You're asking me lots where the treasure is, but you can't even make me a cup of tea, you know. So why wouldn't you? If they were here in life, you'd do that for them. So why not when they're passed as well? So yeah. And of course, I'm training as a celebrant. I'm almost done now.
Can you quickly explain what a celebrant
Yeah, a
is?
celebrant. It's quite a new word. I mean, I've been doing. As a priestess, I've been doing rites of passage anyway. So for I think my first hand fasting, which is the pagan wedding, as you know, I think my first one was 13 years ago. God, I remember that. And because we do hand fastings for weddings, I've also been doing naming ceremonies for babies, and also we do space clearings, house clearings, blessings. So I've been actually creating sacred space for years and not know what it's called, because in modern times they call it a celebrant now, which means I'm a family celebrant, so I can do the funeral stuff, last rites of passage, but I can also do the weddings. And we also were talking about rites of passage in the pagan community, because the first rite of passage that a woman would have would be her period, and the second would becoming a mother. Then after that, being a grandmother, and being a crone, and being an elder. So there's rituals for all of those. And again, it's creating that sacred space, a place where people can honour whoever they're honouring at the time, or just the earth. And it's so beautiful to do, it really is. And I've decided I'm a bit of a poet as well, I've just found out. So all of these things, so you're bringing sacred words together. So you're not just creating a sacred space, which we do, we're actually creating sacred words and putting them all into a ritual for the people that want it done. And it's such a beautiful thing to do.
Well, words are very important, and you know, that's what, in many creation myths, that's how it all started, with the magic of the word. You know, and then we have all our spells, and as we speak, what we say, it's very important what we put out there, what's being potty mouth can sometimes darken the air, kind of thing.
Well, Saraswati, who's behind you, she is the goddess of the sacred word.
Oh, okay.
So she is the word itself. In Sanskrit, her name means the word. She's the one, like she is the word, is feminine. So when we're speaking, it's feminine, but the power behind the words is Shiva, funny enough. So it's that masculine and feminine energy working through it all. Yeah. I can honestly say, Debbie, I've had a fascinating life. And during this past 15 years, 16 next year, I've met some fabulous people, you being one of them, and Sue being another. And if you think all that, Kim and the others that have been an integral part of Wicca Moon, you know, it's just a great place to be.
Well, it's become a community thanks to you putting it all together for us to come to.
Yeah. I mean, I've got people who say, oh, I've come all the way from Bromley, and someone next door will go, well, I've just come all the way from Brazil, you know, to come
So
here,
feed that.
and they go, oh yeah. It can be a bit like that, it is, so it's quite funny. But it's been fabulous. Yeah, I have to say, I've learned so much, and I feel that the learning never stops.
No, it doesn't.
You know, as you turn in one corner, there's something else to learn. And someone will come in and mention a god. I think, I don't know that god, so I'll go and do the research on it. A bit like yourself, you know, go and sit up in the museum, go and have a little look and find out. I go, I know who he is now. You know, this is the sort of work that we do.
I'm glad you said that, because learning never stops. I've had a few problems with people who say, I know everything, and I'm like,
Oh,
okay.
no, that's conceit.
Nobody knows everything.
We could never know everything, you know, never ever. I was out walking last night, and there were some plants I don't know the name of, so I picked the tip off one to go and find out, and I'll find out what that one is and what it's for, because it was such a beautiful blue, purpley blue colour. I thought, what is that? And it wasn't a cornflower, it was something else, so I'll find out. As I say, it's just so big.
And working with nature is so important as well, and they like us to know who they are, what tree it is you're speaking to, and such like.
It's like watching them when they dry up. They tell you, I'm thirsty. I need feeding. I've got yellow leaves. I need feeding. You know, things like that. If you are really in touch with nature, they talk to you.
Yeah.
Really talk to you. Yes.
If you if somebody wanted to come to your shop but they didn't, because you also do a lot of your sales, people can get in touch with you and you will do a video and show them what it is they're after if they're too far away to come in.
People can't. It's something new because of the lockdown. I never thought about it before, but even during lockdown we were really busy. Half the shop I took home, and I was busy doing readings, online teaching, so the whole, even now we haven't stopped the teaching, it's still going to be online. But if people want to shop here at Wicca Moon, they can't get here, they just have to make a phone call. We can do video shopping for them. It's good fun actually.
And what's your website for people to find your details?
www.wiccamoon.co.uk.
I'm pretty sure you're .co.uk, yeah.
That's the online shop, www.wiccamoon.co.uk.
And you've got a Facebook page as well for people that can go through.
Yeah, Wicca Moon Facebook. We've also got a website where you can look at and see all the services, which is wiccamoon.org.uk. That's one of our first ones. So you see a very young me there. Yeah. So you know, come and speak to us. Come and chat to us. I got a lady from America who feels as though she's Wiccan and wants to learn, and that's in America. So I thought, yeah, why not?
That's it.
Well, we're all over the world, aren't we?
International.
Yes.
I have some really beautiful clients in China, and I have some really beautiful clients in India. So we are spreading out.
International.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and something I wanted to add, your oils, you make them all yourself normally?
All the magical oils are made by us. I've just given birth, if you can call it that, to a lovely, beautiful Aphrodite. And it's got a name which is eluding me, but it's in Greek and it means trap. And if you know Aphrodite, you'll know what the oil is for.
Okay, yes.
And it smells divine, doesn't it?
Because I use your oils a lot and I've always found them fantastic. My favourite was always your 3 wise men, but you don't seem to have that at the moment, but maybe one day.
There's a story behind that. I actually made that for somebody.
Oh.
She actually commissioned me to make her that oil. So you were lucky to have what was
left over, right? Okay, because it's worked wonders for me.
There you go.
Try Aphrodite. That's a new one.
Okay,
I'll
then.
have to give you a little sample of the Aphrodite.
Yes.
Myself and Pam made that, and it's very potent. We made it for that purpose, because the god, you know, Aphrodite, she's the goddess of sacred sexuality. So we made an oil that was for that, you know.
Well, ladies.
Magically speaking.
Magically speaking.
It's
I would
lovely
like
to meet you.
Yeah, thank you very much, both of you.
Thank
This is
you, Debbie.
fantastic and
Pleasure.
very, very
It's a long time
interesting.
coming, but
Yes, we've been
I'm
talking
glad
about
that we've
doing
done
this.
it. Yeah.
And hopefully we'll do another one at some point in the future.
When the new
Yes.
cards come out.
That's what I was thinking, yes.
Exciting.
When the oracle's ready.
Yes. So anybody who wants a reading with us or with Sue,
Oh, yes.
just get in contact.
Feel free.
Because you don't just do card readings, you do, I forgot what the other ones are now.
Tarot readings, astrology
Runes.
readings, rune readings, psychic readings. Is there anybody there? Readings, all sorts,
Awesome.
all sorts. You know, palm reading, tea leaf
leaves.
reading.
Snap.
Funny enough, we've been asked a lot for tea leaf readings. So,
Yes.
you know, you have to get
Do it.
the pot up and start.
Ah, it's back in fashion again.
Yeah, obviously. People want to learn, but I'm not quite sure if I want to teach it just yet. But I might do.
Yeah, when it's
Big
ready.
study, all
Yeah.
kinds.
Well, it's a totally different ball game, isn't it? It's a lot of respect.
Again, it's a sacred ceremony.
It is.
Tea
It
leaf
is. I mean,
reading.
it's like the Japanese tea ceremony.
Yeah,
Same thing.
Exactly the same.
It's observing the tea. Respect.
Well, this is the kind of thing we need to try and get back into people. I think people are missing that and they don't know that's what they're missing.
No.
And once they start doing that kind of thing, then they realise,
Yeah.
right, this has made whatever they're doing it for better.
So instead of making a pot of tea with tea bag, you use tea leaves to do tea leaf readings, obviously. And the whole thing from making the
Beginning to
pot
end.
and getting the cups ready to pour in the tea, and even how you swirl the cup is all a sacred ceremony. Because you can't just sit there and go like, swirl the mug and turn it off and go, there you go. It's a sacred ceremony.
Respect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything to nature.
Well, thank you very much, ladies. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Goddess,
Thank
as
you.
well. And
Blessed
come to
be.
Wicca Moon.
Yes, come to
Come have some
Wicca Moon.
fun.